Welcome back to Rum, Coke, and Code, a podcast where I talk about random stuff. Today we're going to talk about the allure of being the hacker. So I use air quotes here because there are many different variants of hacking. There is DFIR, which is digital forensics, instant response. There is reverse engineering. There is straight up development of exploits, which it would be exploit development. That made sense. Pen testing, SOC analysts like blue team, red team. There are so many different kinds of hackers that a lot of people kind of jump to that stereotypical hoodie over the head, I'm in kind of feel. And it's really not like that. In fact, when I got my start, that's what I thought I was going to go into, and that's not where I'm going to be at all. So, I'm going to take a few minutes here to talk about my own personal experience. So, back in October 2020, that made sense. I was going to join a website called, or a school online called NextGen. And while I do think that the career services there is pretty good, they helped me kind of prepare for the interviews. I really do appreciate them, so I guess shout out to them. I guess I'm not sure if I'm popular enough for that to matter, but that's okay. Uh, I think that I got suckered into the thought that I was going to be the next big hacker. Now, don't get me wrong, I have my own personal experiences of being that kid who got nearly expelled for screwing around with the computers a bit too much. Thankfully, I did not get expelled. I got very lucky. But I had that thought that I was going to be that penetration tester, that black hat hacker, that person who people worry about during the middle of the night. Now, granted, some people worry about me for other reasons, but that's probably because of my mental health and not my abilities. Just a little bit of humor. So, it started back in November when I started in the cohort. I had a pretty good instructor. Shout out to Chris. I could not be here without your insight and without your help. I am going to say that right now. Without him, I would not be where I am now because he kind of lit that fire that was smoldering since high school. And I dove into services like Hack the Box, Try Hack Me, and other sites like Pentest Labs, VulnHub. I wanted to be that person that people worry about in the middle of the night for reasons besides my own health. And to the point, I have definitely expanded my own attack box, if you will. I got a lot of different tools at my disposal, and I've got a lot of mental knowledge that I think is going to help me later on when I start my SOC analyst job. At the same time, though, the allure of being the hacker wore off very quickly because it wasn't, to put it bluntly, it wasn't like the movies. I don't hammer on a keyboard for 20 minutes getting something done. Instead, I'm running scripts, I'm doing research, I am taking the time and the dedication to learn and do recon on my target. I am looking up how an exploit works. There are a lot more steps than people realize. And especially when you get into, say, for example, taking your OSCP, you're going to have to make a report on what you found. And I actually did this with Wreath, which was a network available on Try Hack Me. I highly recommend it. So that's a full blown shout out. I highly recommend Try Hack Me. It's one of the best services I've ever used, at least as far as I've experienced myself. And I'm actually trying to write my first penetration testing report, which is what I'm working on currently. But the reason I want to take this time here is kind of to put into perspective that hacking isn't something to be afraid of as someone coming into it new. But at the same time, you need to kind of know what you want to get into. If you're going to go into digital forensics, I highly recommend doing some research. I mean, I learned how to use tools like what was it called? I have it in my VM. I'm trying to remember. I used it to do some recovery on a broken drive. I mean, the closest I've gotten to data recovery was pulling out test disk and saving a hard drive that had lost its boot record. So I was pretty proud of that. Was it velocity? Well, basically, there's volatility. So there's actually, I think there's a distro built for it. It's pretty great. If you're gonna get into digital forensics, that might be a good place to start. Now, I got really into buffer overflows and how to write those custom exploits. And my toolkit includes a Muti debugger, a 32-bit version of Windows, and Kali Linux as my base system that I use for when I'm working on that kind of stuff. I still have not mastered how to get GDB and R2 to kind of give me that same functionality. I really do make use of the monoscripts. I'm trying to get better at that. That's neither here nor there. Uh, but that's kind of where I gravitated to. I loved buffer overflows. I never realized how much fun they were, but that's just kind of one of the things that I kind of latched onto. The other thing that I tend to be, and just as I'm going to provide what I feel comfortable with, I'm also going to share something I'm not comfortable with. I am not all that great with web exploitation. I do not like trying to find that initial, trying to find those vulnerabilities in the website because I feel that it's an area of the world, of the cyber world that I'm not exactly all that familiar with yet. Sure, I've spent nearly a year working on trying to get there, but it's something that I have not yet it's not yet clicked. And that's kind of one of the things with cyber is eventually what happens is, you're doing something, you're working through an exploit, you're working through a vulnerable box, and then suddenly click, it all makes sense. It is the strangest feeling in the world when everything finally just clicks together and you have that moment of reflection where you're seeing the puzzle pieces line up. You're seeing the gears are finally meshing and engaging, and you finally understand why things are happening. I had this experience when I was working with SQL injections. I was learning how union injections work, and that was one of those moments of whoa, this works because I finally understood the syntax, why this particular set of commands does what I tell it to do. I finally understood at a level that I can actually work with why this thing is doing what it's doing. So, just to recap, basically, if you're going to be a hacker, you need to know kind of what you want to do because there's a whole field out there that you want to get started in. Some of the services I recommend are TryHackMe. I recommend Hack the Box. I checked out VulnHub, but I'm most comfortable with TryHackMe. Now, full disclosure, I'm also a room tester there, so take that as you will. I'm not part of staff. I'm not this. These are only my opinions and only reflect my own opinions. But I still can't lie. It's been very, very helpful for me. They have a great community. I do highly recommend saying hi if you haven't already. Now I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the show here today. First of all, I have a new icon, so it's somewhere over there. It's on my right. I do hope you like it. My friend of mine drew it. I love it. He's gonna color it later. And if you do want to discuss further or have questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments. I also have an email address right there. So if you want to email me, ask questions, we also do love having people on the show. We're going to have our first live stream on Saturday, 4 p.m. EST. So be here if you want to see that. We're going to have a community mentor from TryHackMe coming out to have a discussion with us over a remote connection. It's going to be a good day. I also have a Twitter. That's to the right there. I hope to talk to you all again soon and have a great day.